Okay, so for this free SEO audit and SEO strategy, I'm going to be analyzing James Perkins Metal Sculpture.com. And so what I'm going to be doing here is just really analyzing the site and looking for opportunities to improve the SEO performance, but more importantly, ultimately increase the amount of conversions on this site, right? It's not just about getting traffic and improving our rankings. We also want to figure out how to actually take that traffic and convert it into more leads and clients. And so I'm going to go through a few different points here and we're going to kind of walk through each of these. So number one is beginning with the CMS. Okay. So when I looked at the site, I could immediately tell that it probably was not built on WordPress just based on the way it kind of looks at this point. So I went and actually checked and it's not, it's on Joomla. So honestly, if this was my site, and this is purely like an unbiased type of thing, like if this was my business, I would transition to WordPress. That would be my very first step before I did anything else. Just move to WordPress and make your life a lot easier. The second thing is I would also think about redesigning the site. Just improving the overall aesthetics, the overall user interface and design can really have a huge difference. So when you're looking at this site, there isn't really any congruence as far as the overall corporate identity. And what that means, just like there isn't a general like color scheme or, type of branding here that's going to really keep someone engaged. So there's a lot of different colors, a lot of different things going on. And so what we want to do is kind of establish like what are our core colors that we want to stick with. Typically, you really only want about 2 core colors for your brand. Otherwise, it starts to get a little hard to look at in some cases. So like in the case of like my business, it's very clear. I basically have 2 colors, right? Dark blue and this kind of gold color. And you can see that throughout everything that I do, right? So it's pretty streamlined in that regard. And it just makes it much easier to navigate. And ultimately, you never want your design to distract from what you're trying to do. So like if your design is distracting, that's going to decrease conversions. And so you really want to get to a point where your website, like a user can navigate your website without thinking. Or we don't want them to be thinking about, oh, I'm not used to this design or what's going on here, because there's just a lot of stuff here. You got an email address, you got a phone number, you got badges. So this needs to be completely restructured. And so I would definitely be looking into like working with a designer. You can go to Fiverr and quickly find a designer. They're not super expensive. And what you want to do is you want to have someone design the site. Okay. So first you get it designed, they'll give you mock-ups, and then you'll work with a developer who can bring that design to life, right? And make it usable. So you do need to have both of those in place to be able to do this the right way. And I would highly recommend that being your first step. I wouldn't even be thinking a whole lot about SEO at this point. I would think about just getting your website, upgrading the overall design and user experience. That would be really important. Okay, so outside of that, let's say you do get it redesigned and you got the user experience in place. Now we need to talk about the conversion strategy. And so one of the things I noticed with the site is it looks like it's trying to somewhat blend kind of like an e-com strategy along with a lead generation strategy. And those two conversion mechanisms are very different. So if we go over here and look at this, like we go to metal fabrication, it's going to take us to kind of like a category style type of page. And there's nothing wrong with this per se. It's just kind of the execution, because really what this should more function as is more of a portfolio page. So what I would have like a dedicated page that's just a portfolio page that had nice filtering mechanisms and it could show all of the artwork that's been completed. Along those lines, looking at these images, there's a lot of great work here that's happening. Like this is really high quality work. But the problem is the way that it's being presented is not giving that same perception. And perception is reality. So when we look at this, like what I would recommend doing, like if this is my business and I was doing metal, this type of artwork, and trust me, I'm not artistic, so I would never do that. But if this was my business, I would hire a professional photographer. And every time I would do some sort of finished piece, I would get professional photos of that piece, because this is your marketing collateral. Like this is literally your marketing. So you have to really treat it like it's a really big part of your product as well. And so your images, the way you present your products is just as important as the quality of your products. And that's marketing, right? So I would highly recommend investing in a photographer to assist you in that. And even maybe going through and retaking pictures if you can of products that you can get access to. like go and visit those products or find out where they are and try to get some professional photos of them. And also one thing to consider too is if you're selling these, let's say to a consumer, not necessarily a business, you can get the consumer to do some sort of user generated content for you. So have them take a picture with the thing that you built for them. And that can be used for social media marketing as well. So there's just a lot you can do with this type of business because you have so much visual content. You can really take advantage of that. It would also be good once you get these high quality pictures, you can also start going on other platforms. You can go on Pinterest, you can go on Instagram, these really visual based type of platforms. Another thing too is just, as I'm kind of riffing here is, some things that are really, really popular right now are unlike TikTok or YouTube Shorts, you can create these kind of like videos, real short videos of you building one of these things from scratch. Okay. You can literally show someone from A to Z, like how you actually designed one of these. And you can have someone film you doing it and then have them chop it up and turn it into like a 30 to 60 second short. And, you can target people that are really interested in this. And the algorithm will help you put that content in front of people that could potentially want to work with you. So I would highly recommend doing that. There's so much opportunity here on that front, even outside of SEO, right? SEO can certainly help you, but you have things that a lot of other businesses don't have, and that's you have a lot of visual appeal, a lot of visual assets that you can take advantage of. So saying that, outside of that, side point there, as far as the overall structure of the site and your conversion strategy, what I think would be more conducive to you driving more leads would be focus on the main lead generation tactic that you're going for here. And that's really, you're trying to generate leads. You're not trying to drive direct sales on your website. So you need to treat your website more like a lead generation type of site. And that means we need to revise what's going on in the menu and make it easier for someone to become a lead. So what I would be doing is studying, like you could look at some local businesses. So look at like roofers or look at anyone that has a lead generation based business and see how they structure their sites. Look at lawyers too. So like we can go and look at like a St. Louis personal injury lawyer. And we'll look at, you could pretty much take any of these. We'll look at Page Law, for example. And I can guarantee the way they've set this up is purely for lead generation, right? And this is exactly the way that you should try to, I'm not saying exactly like this, but just the general idea of like having a good call to action above the fold, showing your social proof, but not linking out to the Google business profile because you don't want to send people off of your website, having a live chat, and then even having a booking form here just to drive leads, okay? This is the type of, way you should structure your site because your job on your site is to get people to get in touch with you to, either call your phone number or submit a lead form or whatever that mechanism is. But you got to make it easier. And right now it's not super easy, right? There's too many options. And when you give people too many options, they don't do anything, right? There's actually a lot of proof and studies that have kind of studied this one thing, which is when you give people more choices, they tend to have decision fatigue. And so really what you should go for is like minimal choices, right? Make it as easy as possible and cut any fat that isn't going to actually help you drive that result, okay? So these things, I'm going to kind of check these off as we go here, actually. Mark these off. Okay, so we got CMS, we got design, UX, we got conversion strategy. We need to revise that. Now let's talk about the keyword strategy. And this just kind of goes back to understanding the intent of what you do. And what you do is clearly some sort of custom type of artwork, right? This isn't the type of thing where you can just go to a website and buy it automatically. It's not mass produced, right? So if we look at like this, one of these competitors, as far as competing with you on the same keywords, aren't necessarily a competitor of yours, but they're targeting very similar keyword that you're going after. You can see how different their site is, right? Because it's more of a e-commerce style, right? If I just want to go buy some metal art, I go in here and I can just buy it right away, right? This is not custom. This is something that anyone could buy, right? And they have this in stock, so it's not unique. What you're doing is different. Yours is custom, yours is unique. No one else can replicate it. It's just yours. And so you need to make that more clear. And so when you're developing your keyword strategy, and I'll show you kind of what I did here, is I basically took a lot of the seeds from your website. So just kind of a lot of the things that you talk about, a lot of the things that you seem to do, and I built out a keyword database. So when I build out a keyword database, what I like to do is I like to get at least 100 kind of core keywords in the database. Okay, just 100. If we can do that, you're doing pretty well. And you'll notice a lot of these keywords I picked are much lower competition. I didn't go after the big heavy hitter ones. I went after things that we actually have a chance to possibly compete on, right? Some of these may not be relevant to what you do, but it's just generally looking at these different concepts. And you can see they get very, very specific. But it's also a blend of kind of, you could call this more of a commercial based keyword. So walnut dining tables. I would probably create like some sort of list post for this. So like here are the, 10 beautiful walnut dining tables, like some sort of listicle. And then in that listicle, I would promote one of your tables and I would link to, your booking form or whatever that is. And so really taking that kind of informational route is much easier than trying to just rank like a product page or a category page, because those are usually not content rich. Okay. So that's what I would be thinking about. And then also combining commercial intent with some informational intent. So if we go down here, we'll find a couple. So like metal fabrication tools, like you could build a list of metal fabrication tools. You could do that. What is metal fabrication? Once again, informational query may not drive a lot of conversions, but it can help you build some topic authority. Okay. So you need to blend, a combination of these commercial keywords along with some long tail kind of keywords that can help establish your authority in this industry. So this is just a whole list of keywords. Like I said, you can do this yourself with SEMrush or Ahrefs or whatever tool you want to use. But the key is making sure that you're going after keywords that you can actually compete on in this current moment, right? Don't look at those long-term keywords and don't even pay attention to them, because you just don't have the authority to compete on those at this point, right? So keyword strategy is critical. And the other part I was going to say too is like, make sure that if you're talking about something very specific, like we'll talk about, metal sculpture, which I think you rank for, at least in the top like 30, what you'd be better off doing is ranking for metal, custom metal sculpture. Okay. So when we look at this, like you see your keyword targeting here, you got art, sculpture, monuments, like it's very broad. Okay. Way too broad, because really what you do is more custom, right? You're doing custom metal sculpture. So I would try to rank for that. And that will be much easier to rank for, by the way, than trying to rank for this. And not only that, it will actually convert better. Okay. You don't want people coming in just looking broadly for art. And plus, going after head keywords like this that are one singular word are the worst keywords to go after. They have low conversions, they're impossible to rank for, and they just are not beneficial whatsoever. So you definitely want to get more granular about what you do and make sure that your keywords are closely connected to what your core offer is or what you actually do. That's really, really important. Okay. And even small stuff, because you're not on WordPress, like the fact that this is missing a self-referencing canonical tag, like WordPress does this automatically for you. And because you're on Joomla, for some reason, they don't do that, right? Even looking at using meta keywords, like none of this stuff works anymore. So you can just get rid of these. Once again, on WordPress, you have this option for tags, but I don't ever use them. They don't do anything. So just to throw that out there, a lot of moving to WordPress will solve a lot of your problems is the point. Okay. So keyword strategy, we got that disconnected from the core offer. And then, custom versus buy now, we got that figured out. So just remember, you're trying to drive leads. You're not trying to drive direct sales on the website. So your website should reflect that conversion objective. Okay. Content strategy, we kind of already covered that. We want to have a nice blend of commercial keywords and informational keywords. Okay. And then lastly, link building. Okay. So on the link building front, when we look at this, we've got some problems. As far as your existing backlink profile, the biggest issue is that we just have a quality related issue. So a couple of links I'll just show you, like this one here. This is a classic social bookmarking type of link. Anyone can get these links. All right. These are not going to be beneficial for your site. And you can see in general, it's just in a bad neighborhood. Like a lot of this stuff is really kind of, you could say, I don't want to say frowned upon, but it's just, it's not something you really want to be associated with if you're trying to operate a real business, right? You don't want to be around this type of stuff because it's what would fall into what is considered a bad neighborhood as far as your links. And plus, these links are not super beneficial because they're not editorial. Anyone can get these links. And I know they were built a long time ago. We're looking at 3-4 years ago. But still, these are still links, just kind of re-emphasize the point. Like, this is not the stuff you want to do. And another one here, this is a different type of link as well. This one's from 2019. So once again, this is some older behavior, but this is your classic Web 2.0 link that you could probably get with the Hoth. Okay. Like the Hoth sells these types of links. these used to work, before 2016. They might still work in some rare cases, but for the most part, I would avoid them. In fact, I've had to remove manual penalties from Google for this exact link type. And the reason I know that, this isn't like correlation is causation. We literally had a manual action. We went and removed those Web 2.0 links and they lifted the manual action. So it is a direct factor in that manual action. So, I just avoid them. And honestly, I'm kind of guilty because I don't want to say I popularized this tactic, but I definitely talked about it a lot. And to this day, like if we look up, Web 2.0 backlinks, I probably rank somewhere for this. Okay, yeah, right here. So like I do rank for this, but like as you can tell, I put a warning label here and I said I no longer recommend these. Okay, so they're dangerous. And so unless you have a high risk tolerance, I would not use them. That's just my recommendation. And then the other part here is, so like Warren Buffett says, the best way to get out of a hole is to stop digging. And so that's what, we're focusing on here with the link building is just stop acquiring bad links. And we need to refocus on getting really high quality links. They're editorial in nature. And the good news, you don't have to overthink this. Once again, you can use SEMrush and you can use the link app. So I just picked a random domain that's ranking for some of the keywords you want to rank for. And what we're doing here is we're looking at where they have backlinks where you don't have backlinks. And funny thing is a lot of this stuff like Pinterest, Etsy, some of these kind of directory based sites, you can get these links really easily. Okay. Then after that, once you've got those links, then you just need to start focusing on these other more relevant sites. So like Art Daily, CC. Okay, figuring out how you can get a link on this site. It's highly relevant to what you do. And just kind of going through and finding these relevant sites that you can actually score some links on. Okay, that's all we're trying to do. Just get links on relevant websites. That's your number one goal. Okay, editorial links, of course. So, and then eArchitect, another one here. Another good example where it's probably highly relevant to what you do. Yes. So anything in the architecture space, anything in the art space is all going to be stuff that you're going to want to explore as far as getting a link. Okay. And then finally, local strategy. If you are servicing local clients, then it would be wise for sure to build out some kind of like local strategy. So, if I was in St. Louis doing this, I could, do like metal art in St. Louis and I could have a dedicated page specific to that location because there probably is some localization to this to a certain extent. So that's, at a very high level what I would be doing. But I think for you, like I would not get in the weeds of really SEO stuff. Like really for you, like I really think the focus at this point should be just on this, get this stuff squared away. Okay. This is going to be the most impactful area for you right now. And then once you've got this squared away, then we start to move into the kind of deeper, SEO strategy, content development, on-page SEO, link acquisition, like all that good stuff. But this is really what's going to have the biggest impact for you right now. And then outside of that, really starting to think more about a broader approach, not just SEO, but thinking about how you can really build strategies kind of across the board. And I think for a business like yours, you're going to benefit a ton from Pinterest, Instagram. And then if you're going to build out some micro videos that are really well produced, once again, you can use Fiverr to get these edited for you. And you can use an iPhone to record them, by the way. So showing you just doing your work, right? Just show people, document what you're doing, like actually show someone from end to end what it takes to build something that you've built. And I'm sure it's a very intense process, but imagine documenting that whole process and then condensing it down to about a 60-second video and doing that consistently over time. You're going to start to build an audience and eventually you'll have people that likely will follow you who will become clients of yours. So just a few recommendations. This is how I would think about it. This is my business and I hope this was helpful. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please like the video so other people can see it and they can learn about SEO and ultimately grow their business as well. So thank you so much for watching and please subscribe for more. Thanks.